anyone who would ever like tell me like must be nice.
I wrote an article about that years ago. I'm like, we have to stop saying that.
All those miles I thought I couldn't do in hindsight.
That's what you get from those experiences that you have with these ultra marathons.
I love my teammates. Like there's such camaraderie among runners.
Welcome back to I Can Fit That In, the show where ambition meets alignment. Today, I am joined by Eric Spencer. He's the CFO at Universa Investments since the inception of the firm 20 years ago. Eric is an endurance athlete, author, film producer, biotech investor, and someone who has spent his life pursuing what most people would consider impossible. From running ultra marathons spanning more than 100 miles across deserts and mountains, to producing internationally released documentary films, to helping breakthrough biotech innovations, Eric's path has been defined by relentless curiosity and drive. But what makes his story especially compelling is not just what he has accomplished, it's how his perspective is evolving over time. Eric has pursued a life defined not just by achievement, but by curiosity, resilience, and a growing desire to direct his success toward meaningful impact. Eric, thank you for being here. I am so excited to have you on the show.
I know. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So everyone, it's really interesting. Eric and I met, on Zoom probably about 5 years ago. I was actually trying to dig back to my emails and see when it is we first connected via the Human Gathering, which was this organization that I don't even know exists anymore. But it was like a humanitarian organization. And you and I connected, and it was like just instantly kind of kismet, souls that were pretty much meant to meet. I really don't think we ever come across people where we feel a deep connection and it's an accident, right?
Yeah, I remember telling you, like, we were like on a group Zoom, and I said, like, I thought you had like a really like a great smile the whole time that wasn't fake, and you're like, oh, I hope so. Like that's the image I portrayed. Like that's how it started, was like that, the smile comment.
Totally, yeah, like the authenticity and the genuineness, right? All right. Well, I want to dive in. Your life, clearly, when I read your introduction, anyone is going to understand this. Your life is defined by these extraordinary accolades and accomplishments in so many different areas of work and personal endeavors, right? So I would even say that you are like one of the world's most interesting men, because you've done so many things, and a lot of these things that are fairly impossible, or people would think they're impossible for themselves. So where I thought we could begin is by going even deeper than what's on the surface with those accolades. But let's start with, what do you think has driven you so much to pursue life at this level of intensity that you bring to everything that it is you do?
That's I like that. It's a really good question. And I like the most interesting. So I'm glad you said it, not me. So I'm not going to self-promote it, but I will, if the Dos Equis guy wants to retire, I will take his place in the commercials.
Right. Yeah. You can start introducing yourself like that.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, it's a tough one to answer. I think I'm attracted to things. I have to have a curiosity for whatever it is, I think, first of all. And I think once just like that little notch of curiosity like starts to creep in, then I like it starts to like really like build on itself. Like there's like a snowball effect. Yeah. I tend to be attracted to things that are challenging. I think when you kind of listen to things that's kind of clear, because a lot of those things are hard to accomplish. And I didn't succeed right away at a lot of them either. It's been like the J curve of, I guess, of across each one of those things, like company wise, or if it's the learning curve, like in endurance sports, because you learn the hard way in a lot of stuff like that. But I think the harder it is, the more I want to see what I'm capable of, I think. And then I think what I found is it's more than I think it is in many cases. And then I like things that have a big impact. I like things where if it's a company, they're doing something very innovative that if they're successful, it would really change the landscape of an industry, or really kind of like bring about like a new discovery or a new way of doing things. And that's versus just something that's like established and like very clear. Like, I don't think I would ever want to be a lawyer, for example. There's really nothing against them, but, and I was almost a doctor, but chose not to be. And I respect both as professions, but it's just not for me. It doesn't fit the way that I like to think about the world, or approach these activities.
Mm-hmm. So it's really funny that you mentioned the doctor scenario because you were in med school for a bit, right?
I was
And
pre-med. So yeah, I was pre-med at Duke, and then
right.
I never actually went to med school, but I got really close. So I took all the hard classes like an idiot, and then like still didn't pursue it afterwards. Like I basically like lowered my GPA in classes I didn't even like to almost become, I guess, almost go to med school and almost become a doctor.
It's hysterical that you and I have even that in common because I started college as an aerospace engineering major. And my dream was to work at NASA because I wanted to know all the secrets that the government keeps from us about life on other planets. So I was like, I know what I'll do. I'll work at NASA. I'll get like the inside scoop. And similar to what you just said, I had the same classes with the same people every day. And I'm like, I'm paying for my education with, a work study job and scholarships and financial aid money. And here I am not really having a college experience. Like, yeah, this isn't for me. So went straight over to the business school and signed up for MIS and never looked back. What is it that you were, I guess, what did you figure out in yourself that made you walk away from being a doctor?
I think what I realized, like, because I was even specific. Like I said, like in high school, I'm going to be a cardiovascular surgeon, like, as if like I knew like somehow the exact field that would be in medicine. I think because it sounded good and like I would get like a lot of like positive reinforcement from that, like whether from my parents or just people around. And I think just it's one of those things that's easy to explain. Like it's like that you're on this path, and it's not like you have to justify the major to somebody. It's like it's kind of like I don't know, like one of the classic noble ones. I don't know, a better way to say it. But I think it wasn't just the classes were difficult, because I think now, this is going to answer your earlier question. I think the reason I approach some of those, the things that I've done, is part of me is like, I didn't try at all back then. Mm-hmm. And so I've had, like classmates and friends, like almost like kind of note success now. And they kind of almost act like it's like I'm lucky. Like it's like, because they're thinking about like somebody they beat in that class. Like maybe they got an A and I got like a B- or something. And what they're not realizing is like, they actually like really were pursuing it because they actually cared about it. And I wasn't. But once I got the laser focus on what I want to do in each of these respective things, I'll put myself up against anybody, anywhere in the world, and anything, because I will go to a level that, and I'll like work with a team that's good too. But yeah, I think they haven't seen like modern me. Like they're remembering like, it wasn't an aptitude problem. It was just like not like an attitude problem, just like a lack of motivation problem. But once I've channeled that into things that matter, that's where the outcomes have happened. It's not, there's good fortune, but it's not luck.
Right. I agree with you completely. I said that to somebody recently about, I don't know, we were talking about my business, my book, and different things. And, someone was like, how have you made it all happen? I'm like, well, there's been a lot of good fortune, and, a lot of this has manifested, and I feel like the universe has been on my side. And they're like, don't forget how much you have put into all of this. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like it's come with so much hard work and blood, sweat, and tears. And so that's what you're really, you're sharing the hard work and the belief in yourself. Those are the things that are unparalleled when it comes to other people's perspectives of your own success, right? Because if they haven't put in the hard work, or if they don't believe in themselves, they can't achieve the impossible like you have. So even though we know it's possible for most people, right? I say most within context.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a combination of, there's a lot of very, very intelligent people that don't have the work ethic, or just like the follow through, or they can be very IQ smart, but not strategically smart. That's what I've noticed in business a lot. Or they could have none of those things. And then it's much harder to succeed. So I'm trying to combine just having a high like IQ and EQ, and then just a vision for things. And then I'm very much like, I see pathways of not just like how things will work. I look at like how things won't work, and then work backwards to like avoid those kind of pitfalls. I kind of look at it like, going from B to A versus from A to B. What stops that from happening? And that's even like in meetings or whatever it is, I'm almost like evaluating like what's going to stop someone from saying yes to this, or like, does it not resonate with them? I'm almost like, there's almost like an anxiety aspect where I'm like kind of figuring out like what's the danger here? Like what's not going to work? But it doesn't, it comes across like I'm confident in the things, because I'm already like analyzing that, I think, in my head a little bit, like how best to manage. It doesn't mean it always works. It just means like, I think that I've tried to figure out the best ways to do things,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever it is.
Yeah. And I want to get into some of your perspectives on ultra running. And I have a question before I do that, because I feel like I might not get to ask this later. How much have you experienced your identity becoming enveloped in any one of these incredible endeavors that you have sought out and achieved in your life? And it could be any of them, but how much have you experienced that, and how have you worked through it?
I think that the ones that have been, I think running, certainly, because I'm so passionate about it. Like, if you just said, like, right now, name the happiest time of your life, it's probably going to be in high school. I'm going to say, like, probably between like ages like 15 and 17. Just like, at home with like great parents in the home life, but at school, like, I loved every practice, every track meet, every cross country meet. I loved my teammates. Like, I just love, like, even the people I ran against. Like, there's such camaraderie among runners. And like, yeah, I was good at it, but it wasn't. It was more than that. Like, it was like, even if I wasn't, I still would have liked it. And so that's the one where I think, as I kept ramping up in distance all the way to ultra marathons, like later on, like, is like kind of found out like this other world existed that I didn't know before, like before 2012. Just I like the challenge of it, but it got me back to that shared sense of community, and just I love the people that do this sport. To that degree, it doesn't matter how good they are. They can be like former Olympians that now win these kind of races, or they can be, a 75-year-old grandmother that can finish that. Like, I'm wowed by all of them. And I feel like you can make friends in 30 seconds with any ultra runner in any of these things. And I love like the diversity of backgrounds where they come from, like everything geographically, socioeconomically, just why they want to do it. A lot of them started running later in life. They're not like prodigies that started at 10. And it's just like a beautiful thing seeing all that come together, and then having to overcome. The course is the same for all of us, right? So, but how we experience it is different, the same way it is in life.
Right.
And so I love that. And I think writing, because that's, and you probably experienced this a bit yourself, because you are writing for an audience, but it is still your thing. And I got to do it like a little bit in the documentary. It's part of the team, obviously, but I have obviously strong say in the final product. And I'm really proud of the first film. And then the second one's coming out this year, where it's getting to express it in a way that it's different than a book. They're both really fun experiences to be a part of creatively, but it is easier to show something visually to somebody, I think. And not everyone wants to read like a book, right? So it's just easier to get them to watch an hour and 45-minute documentary than read the book. That's right. Yeah.
So true. So, I mean, I've listened to a podcast you were on with Barry Merrick of Ivy, where you talked a lot about ultra running. And then obviously I've spoken to you several times over the last several years. And so what I understand is that running is not just a sport for you. It is actually a way or a means to more fully understand yourself, and of course connect with others and build community. But it's really about this understanding of yourself. And I feel like that's what you get from those experiences that you have with these ultra marathons and these incredibly long races. So what would you say is actually happening in you, inside of you, as you feel like you want to stop in one of these races and you're like, I can't go on? Like, what occurs within you?
And it happens to everybody. So like everyone has that thought. Because I think I've done 25 races that are at least 100 miles so far. And most of them been kind of like the harder ones globally. And some I haven't finished. I've not finished 6 of them. So it's, it was more physical at some point than mental. Like, it was just like not safe to continue. Or I got pulled from the race, like for medical reasons. But it's, it's tough, because there is that voice in your head that, the hard thing with like especially me being able to do math quickly, is like, if I've run for like 38 miles, and I have like, let's say, roughly, 62-ish to go, I know how long, like, I'm not going to get faster. I'm probably like, I've already run as fast as I'm going to run. It's going to get harder. Now I'm going to have to go overnight. Everything hurts. I don't feel like eating anything, but I know I have to like take in calories. I can do the math of how long, what's the soonest I can get there? It's probably like 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's like the soonest I'll be done. That's like the best case scenario. And that's tough when it's like 2 p.m. the day before. It's like to keep going. It's like,
Yeah.
and that's where like, I think having like a good crew, I said that in the interview with Barry, I think is important. I haven't always had a crew for some of these races, but, one of the years I did Badwater, the first time I finished it, actually, like one of my good friends, Dave, and I was just struggling later in the race. And he's like, we can walk if you want to, but he's like, you're going to finish the race. I know you're going to. And he's like, well, can you run like to that highway sign right there? And I was like, yeah, I can run that. It's 200 yards. And he's like, okay, let's run to the sign. And so like I did that. And then it was like, okay, so take a break. He's like, what about the next sign? Can you run to that one? Like, yeah. And then all of a sudden it starts clicking miles off. And he realized like you have to break the goal line because he knew I was doing in my head. Like I had like 47 miles left. I have this huge mountain to climb at the end. But if you start thinking like that, it's the same with anything in life. Then it is very daunting. Then it is like very easy to be stressed from that. It's easy to get burned out because it feels like the weight of it is just on you. And you just have to keep going. It's like you have to take it like very incremental steps. And then you're surprised when you finish. I think you're like, whoa, I forgot about all those miles I thought I couldn't do in hindsight.
Right.
But it's hard to do. It's very hard to do in the moment. It's hard. It's hard because it is real. It's not like imaginary that it's a hard thing to do.
Right.
You're doing it.
No, and the conditions that you're in, I think, one of them, it's direct sunlight in the desert for like hours upon hours and day after day.
Yeah, it's the hottest place on earth. Yeah. So
yes.
You cannot avoid that heat. It's nothing prepares you for it.
Right.
I'm Erin Coupe in the Grove in Miami. So like, I'm used to like warmer, hotter weather.
Yeah.
Badwater's a whole different
totally
thing.
Well, let's talk about that. So, filmmaking being one of your, most recent endeavors. What made you want to tell the story of ultra running through film with the Badwater 135? And then of course you have another one coming up too. But, what did you see in those athletes and of course in yourself that you really felt that the world needed to understand?
Yeah, it's something, I'd almost pursued a different project a few years before. And it wouldn't have been filming Badwater, but it was kind of filming certain ultra athletes, and it just didn't come together, the pieces of it. And then, these two, this Belgian film crew they'd gone to Badwater. So it's in Death Valley National Park, it's part Nevada, part California. And they went there in January. They were just interested in the place. And they went there and kind of filmed like a few things. And they're like, they kind of thought they might want to film like a Badwater film. They're not ultra runners, or like they weren't at the time. Now the director is, but and so they kind of started like a crowdfunding thing to like, hey, we want to film this. I got wind of it. Because the Badwater race director sent out an email that kind of like people know. And instead of going just the crowdfunding route, I actually went and found the director separately in Belgium. Like I found like his portfolio website, basically like stuff he'd filmed. And I emailed him directly and said like, here's who I am. I've run it 4 times. I've been on a crew 3 times. And I think I could add a lot of value to this. And like, I want to be like one of the executive producers and I'll finance it if we do it.
Wow.
And I was on a Zoom call the next day with him, like Belgium to here. And then it kind of evolved from there. And so I actually never met them in person until the day before the race, which is pretty wild to think like we filmed this whole thing. And I was thinking about that today as I kind of prepared for this. Like we like learned to trust each other's like instincts and creative instincts. And my knowledge of the race and like where people would be at certain times or what kind of camera shots, because they had never seen the course in with the race going on. And I'm like, oh, you've got to be here like at 6 o'clock. You're gonna have like this unbelievable thing. And like just knowing we had 10 runners in the race that we're following. And just being able to track that in real time and give them like more like the I guess the logistical aspects of it that, like a lot of Badwater, like veterans, like friends, were like, they couldn't have found a better person to do that part. And then I think I was only the executive producer at that point. And then later on, he was like, look, we have to make you produce this. Cause like, we didn't think creatively you would be this involved. We thought it was just like financing it and maybe helping us film it like a little bit like logistically. But then like all the edits and kind of refinements that we went through, I think there were like 47 versions of this we went through. They were like, never thought we'd see this from you. And that's formed like a really close partnership. The director's incredibly talented. His cinematography work is just unparalleled for anything I've seen in this kind of world. And so, yeah, it's a really, that's why we filmed the second one in Leadville, Colorado at the Leadville 100 in 2023. And then, we're looking at a third one right now in Chamonix, France at the biggest race. So that's exciting to just to share that world with people, I think.
Right. I mean, the running community is huge. It's huge. Yeah, it runs deep. Yeah. I mean, no pun intended. What would you say, stepping into filmmaking, is there anything that changed about your understanding of endurance? I'm not focused on physically, because that's you have that down, but I'm thinking more like endurance emotionally and spiritually. Is there anything that it changed for you or helped you understand further?
Yeah, I think it definitely is. We've made that joke to each other, the director and I. It's like, it's like running an ultra marathon when you try to like bring this together, not just like the business side of it later on, like whether it's like the distribution of it, like it being on all the platforms in 100 countries, just getting like all the edits right. And he's doing a lot of, and so is the rest of the team, like a lot of the technical things in the software, like like all the sound work that's done, all the color grade. There's so many things like I knew nothing about, like literally have no background in this at all. And it takes a long time to do some of those things. And it's like he has the same obsession with every detail being like exactly perfect that I do. Like that's one of the things I was going to say earlier is like I think I'm obsessed with the final product of whatever it is, even if it's something I'm saying verbally, being like very excellent, like the highest level possible.
Yeah, like the integrity of it is so important to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think just like how people perceive me, I think matters a lot. Like whether that's through a product or through me, like directly. I do see it as like part of me. That's why like I'm so careful with what I commit to, because it becomes part of it. It's not maybe the best way to think of it as like my identity is tied to that, but I think it does make me better at it because I think that way. That I have like I have a personal stake in these things that goes far beyond economics or anything else. That makes me want to make it great.
Right. So, I mean, this leads me to my next question, because there's this thread of you making the most of what are otherwise unexpected opportunities that come into your life. And of course, we know from our earlier parts of this conversation, it's hard work. It's not luck, that's put you in these places. But what is it that allows you to recognize those opportunities when they're there and then to pursue them? Right? Like these connections with people where you're like, oh yeah, we just instinctively get each other and we're going to work together. What is it that makes you pursue those with such faith and trust in both yourself and in other people?
It's an excellent question, because I think that's changed for me over time. I think when I was in my early 20s, maybe that wasn't really, I was more defensive, maybe like not like in a combative way. I mean, like just like safer, like I'm going to stay in my lane here and just like do what I do, like, do what I know well enough. Yeah. And now it's like, if it feels like the right person to work with or the right opportunity, I'm willing to be like, quote unquote, like the dumbest person in the room and have a steep learning curve, because I will do it. I will go I will try to master whatever it is in those respective areas. And then really, amplify that relationship with whatever the team is that's doing that. And I just take it personally. I think they respect that too. I think that the things, because I get like offered like board seats and advisor roles like almost every day, and it's not, I just can't add more things right now, to be honest. But it would have to like check the other criteria. Like it has to be something that I think has big impact, that is innovative, that I like have an alignment with, I think, with what I want to do in the world. And then, it's just the team, like the people of it.
Right.
So it's evolved over time where, things have happened in very random ways, but but there was actually an order to it, like even like the CEO of the larger biotech of the two that I'm invested in and like I'm an advisor of. When I wrote my first book, like I went to hear him talk at like the public library in Naples, Florida, where I'm from, and like interviewed him, put him in the book, and that's how we started this dialogue. And now it's and then like a few years later, like he wrote it like his second book. And he had, I read the first copy of it, like the advanced copy. And then like, he sent me like his publishing contract. Like he wanted like I'm not like an attorney or like, but like, he just thought like I knew enough. And like, I trust Eric to like, give me feedback on this. And then when he had the biotech idea, like he flew out to Santa Monica, where I was at the time. And that was kind of the genesis of it. So if I never went to that public library thing, cause I didn't have to, like the book was almost done anyway. There would be no relationship that would have then like 3 years later led to this in a totally unrelated thing. Not publishing was not even involved in this. And it's been 16 years and now it's kind of visible and exploding. And like that would have never occurred. He says the same thing. Like that's the genesis of it.
That's such a beautiful part of life too, right? And I think some people kind of like shun those opportunities or those people when they come in. They don't let things unfold, and they do maybe put up an armor or have their guard up rather than allowing themselves to trust. And I mean, of course, if your instincts are telling you like it's a bad person, you know what to do. But most of the time, we're going to meet people who are in alignment in some way, shape, or form. And it's up to us to have those deeper conversations or to figure out if there's something there, right? So, and not that there always is, but don't shun it and don't try to, act like it's not when it could be something really impactful. So this leads me to talk. Yeah.
I was going to say, just to add to your point, because it's something like I know you and I have talked separately about this, that like, I think sometimes people just look at like one opportunity they have with like, let's say one person, and they're like, oh, I can't believe it was only that. It sort of helped me like a little bit. You don't know where that relationship will take you depending on like how you treat that like over time, because it may lead to like that person being a client for something for you like 5 years from now. I think sometimes like people who are looking for like immediate wins are like, well, that wasn't the immediate one I wanted. Therefore, like maybe I shouldn't have had that launch or whatever it was. But like, you don't know what that's going to open or what that person might say to someone else. And then all of a sudden, like your network is expanding. You don't even realize it yet.
Exactly.
That's how all those things happen.
Right.
It's not like just magically on one day, everyone knew to like go on LinkedIn and find you. It's like, no, it's like because you were cultivating those things the whole time. So you have to have a longer term view and maybe not see the results right away, I think. And then when they manifest later on, that's why it's not luck, because you were setting that up the entire time by the yeses, and then like how you carried yourself in those early like meetings or discussions with people and relationships you're building.
You said that so well. It's like, business development, 301 right there, because it is, your net worth is your network, right? Yeah, money's a part of your net worth, but your relationships, those matter so much, and you have no idea where they're going to take you, like you said. So investing in those is really important. So you mentioned Meridian Biotech, very kind of high level so far. This is something that you seeded, 16 years ago, right? So I want you to tell us about the incredible work that this company does, because it's really incredible for, food sustainability. But what has that journey in general taught you about building something whose impact might not be visible like right now? Like we just said, those relationships that don't turn into something right now. So this company that you've been building and seeding, whose impact isn't there initially, but it's turned into something so incredible. So if you can just walk us through all of that.
Yeah, I think it's, versus like the hedge fund I work for, Universa, where we've had, a lot of success and grown it over time, like for 20 years. This is the classic J curve of, for the biotech company of what that's like, where there were a lot of years of extreme stress, extreme doubt of like, this might fail. Like I'm having to fund more, not knowing if it's going to succeed. It's like funding for payroll, like for like equipment for things. And it wasn't, which is probably true of like, a lot of things in biotech or bioscience or pharma where, it's with much bigger amounts of money where like you can't guarantee results in anything. Like it's in a lab, just because like you have an idea of like what drug could do or some kind of medical breakthrough. You could throw a lot of money and never succeed. So it was different for me to experience that. And like I would jokingly say, like, I think I'm not sure which way it works. If ultra running prepared me to deal with things like this, or if it's vice versa. If like I'm better at ultra running now because I've had to go through the company aspect of growing, and it's like you're at mile 20. It's like, how am I going to get to mile 100? Like I don't even see the trail anymore. It's tough to do. And then there's just a lot of, you kind of have to survive to thrive in a lot of these things. Like everyone knows like the failure rate of companies stat that's out there, but usually it's pretty quick in that stat. And then if the things that succeed later on, like even big names, like things like NVIDIA, like go look at their stock. It's like, it was like nothing for like, 28 years. And then it's like this, it's like a 70,000% return in 6 years.
I know that's insane, by the way.
It's been around forever, and everyone knew what NVIDIA was. The whole time, it's like, no, there was like a penny stock for like a long time.
I sat in an audience at a investment conference that I was invited to by someone I used to work at Goldman with, and this has got to be 2018, and this guy specifically said, "Watch NVIDIA over the next couple of years," and I didn't buy it. I really regret it.
No, I mean, that's a lot of, I'm sure even 2 years ago, people were not having bought it, but it's,
Right.
but yeah, that's just how like
Mm.
like these kind of outliers happen is like you have to, it doesn't mean just by surviving long enough, you can guarantee success because that's like the sunk cost fallacy. It's like, if I just keep putting money in this company, of course it'll succeed eventually. That's not so true.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of innovation that happened at Meridian Biotech. There were even like pivots of what we were even like the mandate of the company changed of like what we were targeting like twice before it's got like current evolution. And now it's the most robust it's ever been and has, like large strategic partners, and it's based in Kentucky now. And yeah, there's more things they announced pretty soon that are, I get these texts from the president. It's like, he's one of my friends, and I'm like blown away when I read the names involved, like the scale of some of these things being considered, because they're coming to us. It's like this is the same company that's like little Meridian that had like 5 employees. Well, these are like some of the biggest conglomerates that have ever existed, and they are like begging to be partners in these situations because you have something that they can't replace. They can't build it themselves because the science is just unrivaled. And it's just special being a part of that, seeing that. And then you still have to execute on the actual like running the business and the steps and everything. There's no guarantee just because the science works that like you can do the rest of it. But I'm really proud of the executive team. And it's all people, we've been there since the beginning, right. So I like that everyone who's kind of winning in the end are people who they work without pay for a company. It's like they have really committed a lot to this in their lives. Like they went all in life wise with this, and so did I. And again, it doesn't guarantee success, but I think like it's anyone who would ever like tell me like must be nice down the road, I'd be like, come back to 2014 and then say the same thing to me then.
Yeah, I am not a fan of that phrase. I feel like when I wrote an article about that years ago, I'm like, we have to stop saying that because you automatically put yourself in this like, woe is me victimhood place of, oh, it must be nice being you, but I could never do that. Well, that's on you. If you have a dream or you want to pursue something, like go for it, believe in yourself and put in the hard work. Right. But nothing happens overnight. There's no overnight success. And anyone who ever says there is or is looking for that, like you're not going to get it. So make it realistic, but keep at it. Right.
There's always like and there's like the psychological studies that say like when you're evaluating success of yourself, you think it's yourself, and like fortune's like a very small part of it. When it's other people, it's like luck and not skill. When it's other people, but not you, like things like that. And then in reverse, right? If bad things happen, it was like, it wasn't your fault. It was like the universe. And if it happened to them, they did something wrong, and it's like the rationalization.
Right. Yeah. So I'm curious, I happen to know personally that you've lived through some profound loss in recent years. And so maybe talk to us a little bit about the loss that you've had with your parents and how maybe that's changed your relationship with time and how you're choosing to allocate your energy these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it has changed me a lot in the past couple of years. I think, like beyond like the grief part of it, because I'm an only child. So like I have a very small family to begin with. Mm-hmm. So like I lost my mom to breast cancer in June of 2024 after 9.5 years of battling. And then my dad, this past July, to complications from Alzheimer's. So it's hard to lose 2 parents in 13 months and 15 days apart. But I try to look at it with a sense of gratitude that I had amazing parents, and not everyone does. And they always believed in me, even when I didn't even know my own path when I was 23, 24, 25. And they were like, he's going to figure this out. Like, we just believe that Eric will figure out something and be successful. And not everyone would do that. Like, I think I maybe even took it for granted at the time that they had that kind of belief just in that I would succeed somehow. And then like, once they started happening, they were so proud of all these things. Even like those final months my mom was alive, getting to show her like edits of the documentary, because she'd never seen I would show her like snippets when we watched like the whole thing, like the last Christmas she was alive. And she was both so proud of like the actual thing, but then she was like, now I understand why you do this. Like I could never get it before. You would explain it to me, you'd send me like photos in the races, but I just never got like, what's the attraction for these ultramarathons? But she's like, now I understand. And like, it's the kind of bonding that, it's like, I'll have that memory forever, like that aspect. Yeah. But I think the time factor of, just I have to do things that are meaningful, that impact others in a positive way. I believe that I am really talented. I believe that I know that I work very hard, probably too hard, but I don't think those talents are for me only. I have a much bigger worldview that like I was meant to do really powerful, impactful things for others as a result of those talents, even if it's not in the actual endeavor, but like maybe like the seeds of that somehow, helping other people. That's what I think I was made to do. I think I've always known that, and I just didn't always have the power or the platform to do that. And now I think that's changed. And then I think losing my parents just reminded me to get back to that. Like that's when I'm the happiest with myself, and it doesn't feel as like stressful or like burnout or like what's the point of this? Just kind of like grinding away. There's a bigger reason I'm doing it, and I think that's what's changed for me. But yeah,
that's
so
beautiful.
I definitely, of course, missed them, but I'm also grateful that like not just they were great parents, but I was there at the end, like the last few months and like the final moments. Not everyone gets that. Not everyone gets to say goodbye. And I've seen that in friends where they didn't get that opportunity. And it hurts them that they never got to say goodbye, like officially say goodbye, like the final time.
Right.
So I feel blessed I got that chance.
Right. Well, I think you've taken some beautiful lessons away from that loss. And, I don't believe that the grief ever stops, right? It kind of lives with you, but you can use it to motivate you as well. Not just to be a part of your past or something that weighs you down, but something that actually pushes you to. I know when my dad died and I was only 18, it almost made me work harder. I was like, gosh, now he's watching everything, so I gotta really work hard. What would you say?
I was gonna say, like I think about like a lot. Like I want to be the son that they thought I was. Mm-hmm. I think about that a lot each day.
Yeah, or that they knew you were, right?
Yeah. I told like my aunt is my last family member alive, and so I said like when I was talking to my dad, I said like, I think I can count on one hand the number of times he ever yelled at me in my life, and I deserved it every time it happened. Like I was definitely in trouble or something, and she was like, because you never gave him a reason to. It's like he was just proud of you always. Like it's not like it's not magic that was the case. But that's what I want is like I do feel like I still want to make them proud. But it's like the legacy, like their legacy through me somehow is like is being transferred.
I get that. So, absolutely. Yep. What would you say that you're intentionally fitting in now in your life based on not just loss, but everything that you've experienced and achieved, knowing that when you set out to do something, you're going to give it your all and you're going to see it through, and you've seen the success come from that. How are you now intentionally fitting in things that truly matter to you? Not that you haven't in the past, but how has that maybe shifted in these last couple of years?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, that's a good question to ask. It's shifted in that, even something, okay, here you go. I'll give it. So, here's the book right here. Just so we can see this. Okay, so I've read, I think you and I have talked about this. I've read like roughly 2,000 books, I think, since I graduated college, and I catalog every single book that I read. I dog-ear the pages. I then go back and write notes, and I have it in a Word doc that's like 3,000 pages long.
Yeah.
This is how many pages are dog-eared in your book. It's
I love that.
There's like 4 pages that are not dog-eared in this book. And there's like notes on every single page, like that I wrote to myself. Yeah. So things like that, where I think just choosing, not just like reading, because that could be like a random pleasure activity. It's, I almost think of it as like reading intentionally too. Like to say that people say like I'm dating with intention, because I'm choosing things that I think enrich my life, or that maybe I need a little course correction or something in my life. And I trust like this person to give it to me, or it's just something that's inspirational. And then I think just identifying things where I see a chance to help somebody, and it can be a friend too. It doesn't have to be like a stranger through a charity somehow. It can be something where just like, I just have more empathy, I think, I was always very empathetic and kind of a feeling person, but I think I have a lot more now where like and I'm very perceptive on little things that people show you and don't show you, but like I can see it. And so like I like proactively will do things for people when I can sense that there's like a need for it, like that they, I can maybe like bridge a gap for them, or like just like be that person that listens to them, kind of that sort of thing, beyond like the bigger things that I'm working on.
Yeah. Like you're so thoughtful and generous with your energy in that way.
Yeah. Like I would rather spend it on that than like vacation or, like something else that would be like just for myself. I would much rather, like, I feel like the best about myself. And I feel like it's kind of like what my parents would do too. It's like honoring them. And like I'm trying to become that person. I think I always was, but just amplifying that more.
Right.
Which then, like in a busy schedule, I think the people who are receiving that, they know how much I'm doing. It matters more because they're like, I can't believe he would, stop and do this.
Right.
That makes me feel even better because it's, like I never thought about it that way, but when they say it, it's like, yeah, it kind of hits home for me.
Yeah. Well, I see that in you. I mean, you've ordered books, in bulk to send to people in your life that it will align with, or it will help them. They'll benefit from it. And, I'm so appreciative. I'm like, gosh, like it means so much to me as the author that the book resonates, but also that you believe in it enough to share it with people in your sphere. So I find that so thoughtful and of course, so generous.
And I've maybe ordered like the most like 5 copies of the book for. So you like, it's going to keep going up, but you have the largest bulk order and rising of any book I've ever read in my life.
Wow.
Oh, I've read a lot of good books.
My heart is so full. Thank you. Yeah. That really lights me up. So let's tie this up with one last question that I feel like is kind of a culmination, but when you look at your life from, enduring these, physically punishing races to helping build these incredibly, scientific breakthroughs that you're doing with Meridian, to telling human stories through film with the Badwater 135 and the others, to experience profound loss and, the deep connection that you had with your parents for as many years as you did. What do you think it's all preparing you to understand?
Wow, that's like a meaning of life question right there.
I know, it's pretty deep, but I feel like you can do this.
Yeah. The way I'm going to answer this question is it's preparing me for what's next, and I'm a person who likes to I have that internal locus of control. I believe I can control every outcome, and which is not true, of course, but like that's the way that I try to approach things. I think it's opened me to embrace, if I really pursue these things with the passion that I have for them across these things, and keep adding new opportunities and building the network out, and like, all these like relationships that grow. I don't know what's next, but I'm very open to whatever it is. I'm actually more excited now than I ever, I would say probably in the whole 46, almost 47 years of my life, I think what's coming next is going to be pretty big, or like the outcome of these things is going to be pretty big. And I'm excited about that. And I don't know what it's going to be. I have I could take any snapshot going back in time, like 3 years, 5 years, 7 years. There was no documentary. Like if you go back 5 years, right? Like, and I would have never thought that was going to happen. If I go all the way back, there weren't like books that I wrote, or like, whatever it was, how could I have seen it coming? Like even if I know in reverse that I did it, like the steps to repeat it they seem crazy because of like all the random connections that happen to make it possible. The opportunities. So I just know there's a lot of irons in the fire now. And I think there's going to be a lot of things that come out of it. And I think people that maybe share my life view or have that kind of like bond or connection with me that want to like co-create something. I think the more that's going to happen more and more. And I'm excited to like, not just like meet those kind of people, but to learn from them and maybe end up doing something with them. Not knowing what that is yet.
Amazing. Well, I know that everyone listening will be very excited to watch all the things that you are doing already, but whatever you continue to do, whatever comes in and what you create, and the impact that you keep making on humanity. So we'll all be watching. Where can people find you? Where's the best place to follow along?
So I'm one of those people, for better or worse, I keep a low social media profile. I think it's probably good. I am on LinkedIn, so that's why I see all your posts, which are excellent posts, by the way. I highly recommend those as much as I recommend the book. That's like, because now like the algorithm knows to show you to me, like when I'm you're like the first thing every time I'm on there.
That's awesome.
So I see a lot of the content. But yeah, so on there, and then just on the film's website for like it has all the ways to watch and like info on the project, and then it'll be like the second film's info will be on there pretty soon.
Fantastic. We'll share those links in the show notes so everyone will be able to look at all those. And we'll also share the link to Meridian Biotech so people can learn more about that as well. Mm-hmm. Eric, any last thoughts you want to leave people with today?
I think it's kind of how when you asked the last question, I think just don't, and this is what I tell high school students and stuff when I go back and talk to them, is don't be sure you know the path they're going to be on. Like this, the same way the doctor thing for me early on, because, and then maybe it is their path. Maybe that there's a lot of people who decide to be doctors that go all the way and become doctors and they like it. But be open to the idea that like maybe a pivot in whatever it is, like inside the company or just in your life, might be the best thing that ever happened to you. It's not like maybe that's, and sometimes it's, and I know you talk about it in the book, it can sometimes be forced on you. Like your body is like, you need to change now. Like this has to happen now. Your body is very good at sending you signals that something is maybe not in alignment with you anymore. This is not the right thing for you. We just override it too much. I think I think people's instincts are actually pretty good. And I think that their bodies are pretty good at sending signals. We just find a story to put it back on the autopilot and ignore this thing. And that's what I've gotten better at tuning into, is like, what do I know is right, or what do I feel is right about these things? And so I would just say like to embrace kind of the unknown of what could happen, but be willing, but like listen to kind of like, trust yourself, that like listen to your, the feedback your body gives you, just, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
I love that. Yeah. Trust your instincts and your intuition, right? Because your body's going to tell you things instinctually, and then your heart is going to tell you things intuitively. And listening to those they're what make you human, which is going to be more important than ever in the world we're moving into, right?
That's right. And like listen to that more than what other people tell you, because that's where we get, either because you think it's what other people would want you to do, or they directly tell you that like you shouldn't do this or should do this. And it's like not in alignment with what your own body is saying. Trust yourself first before you trust others. It doesn't mean like never seek advice, but it means like you should, if it's a tie, default to yourself on those things.
I love that. Self-trust. What a great thing to leave people with today. Eric, thank you so much for being on the show. I knew this was going to be just a truly enriching conversation. And of course it was. So thank you.
Well, thank you for everything. Yeah, every time I'm talking to you, so it picks up my spirits every time. So
yeah. Well, good. We bring the energy, right? Everyone, you know what to do. Please share, comment, rate, review, and let's get these messages to even more people who will benefit from them. Until next time, be well.